Hey everybody. I know I've been gone for a minute, but I had to, do my real job, the one that like pays my bills. And I finished reports with the exception of two kids that, have some other stuff going on. Last day of actual teaching is tomorrow. Then I have faculty stuff, graduation stuff. I don't have to go to graduation, but a kid saved the ticket for me even though faculty doesn't need it. And I kind of feel like, dang, I guess I gotta go. I mean, it means a lot, but because, yeah. Anyway, all right. I just want to start with this. What did I tell y'all? What did I tell y'all about Trump and Elon? What did I tell y'all? I said this thing is going to implode at least within 6 months. And here we are in June. Not even 6 months, because he was inaugurated on January 20th. It's been a shit show all along. But two people who exhibit deep narcissistic personality traits cannot coexist. Not for long, only as long as they're getting what they need off of each other. But they're both used to taking. So here we are, 8 days into June, really 5 when this went down. But my mother came to visit and this weekend, which was wonderful, and I was so happy. And I was kind of loaded from reports. But anyway, Trump said he'd rather Elon attack him and not the bill. The bill where they're cutting Medicare, Medicaid, public school funding. I guess they're going to continue all the hires, all the fires that were frozen by the judges that he's not respecting. All of that. First of all, anybody who has a representative, I don't give a fuck where you live, even if you didn't vote for that person, make them pay for even going for this, okay? Because the bottom line is, this man is literally, his goal is to destroy the system so a small group of people can benefit and exploit everybody else. He don't care nothing about them poor white people that voted for him. And don't let the media fool you with all of this stuff and this Republicans versus Democrats. The fuck it isn't. That is not the case. You want to talk about Democrats and Republicans, representatives in Congress going back and forth? That's a different story. Don't act like them Republicans haven't been losing their mind down south and in the Midwest and every other place about losing their jobs, their government jobs, about the way in which Elon Musk is acting as a co-president. There have been way too many town halls that a lot of them have not even, a lot of them as the people's representative won't even go to for the people because they're too busy kissing Trump's ass. That tells you they're already not about it. Everybody got to go. We need a whole redo with the Senate and Congress because they are bitching up. Okay, the only person that we need to stay is Jasmine Crockett because I fucks with Jasmine. All right, nevertheless. So he's talking about this. And then Trump is bragging this bill is the biggest cut in American history, over $1 trillion cut to programs that people need. SNAP, WIC, unemployment insurance, which you pay. You pay for that and with your Social Security every month when they take that stuff out of your check. How dare you? You son of a bitch. And he's bragging about it and people are supporting it. And then weak-ass Democrats who didn't want a black woman to be president either, Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, who is now on record in their book saying he never thought she could win, this, that, and the other, and then took a whole week and a half before he even came out to support him. The minute Joe Biden announced it, albeit late, the minute Joe Biden announced that, whatever 20-year-old got on Twitter and said, I endorse Kamala Harris for him, he did it immediately. Now, he should have dropped out sooner, but that ain't the point right now. Nevertheless, okay, this is a shit show. And I'm going to be honest, I kind of am enjoying this. I love the fact that there are two white men who have had privilege out the ass going at it like this, okay? From what I hear, there was a physical fight down in the White House, okay? And Trump is just pulling out the pettiest stuff he can do. So during his press conference, while he's talking about this bill, he's bragging about cutting program funding for Americans while they're still sending billions of dollars a month to help Israel with their genocide against Palestinians. Yes, I said it because that's exactly what's fucking happening. You tell me who's winning in terms of bodies, in terms of people's lives lost. This isn't about Jewish people versus Muslims. Okay, this is about taking land that did not belong to them to restore the Jews, safety after World War II. The person that should have given up the land was fucking Germany, who committed those international crimes. Y'all went and started talking about with the original Israel, fuck you. And y'all murdering these people because y'all want them to disappear. Absolutely not. Yeah, because anybody who I imagine has been on welfare, not that I have, but I have certainly studied it long enough to know, anybody who's been on welfare knows that money ain't shit. And anybody who stays on it and wants to stay on it perpetually as like to get off are very rare and probably have a mental illness. And I do mean that. Like that's not sustainable. That is not the kind of life anybody wants to live. And it's degrading to have to go and ask for money like that. Anyway, so Elon is live tweeting during this man's conference where he bragging about all the money he's dropped. Then Trump called it derangement syndrome. First of all, a deranged person calling somebody else deranged is funny to me. He ain't shit. Anyway, he was like, people love me. Then they leave and then they become hostile. One day, you guys, meaning the press, he was talking to the press and he goes, well, write about it. He said he was wearing my hat that says Trump was right about everything. You did, and you look dumb as hell now, Elon. Then Trump started tweeting back at Elon, by the way. I guess once he realized he was talking shit about him. Now, that's somebody who does control their Twitter account. Okay? Trump started tweeting, and he said in front of the press that he is going to cut Elon's government contracts. First of all, those contracts should not have been extended to him in the kind of numbers that they've been extended to. And he's been in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency, which isn't even a real department because it hasn't been approved. The Department of Education only became a thing in 1980 after people had fought for that to ensure some kind of education. Y'all, that is very recent. Because I was born in December of 87. And I went to public school my whole life. I got grants to go to college based on what my parents made and scholarships. So fuck you. Okay? And no, I don't have to have kids to care about that. Why he got them contracts anyway, but y'all can't pull down the student loan people and then y'all trying to garnish people's wages and stuff if they don't pay. If they ain't got it, they ain't got it. The government got it. Tell Israel to give it back or quit sending it over there. Anyway, Elon said Trump is in the Epstein files. First of all, Elon, you could have said that because we already knew that. Them Epstein documentaries already told us that. He was in enough pictures with Jeffrey Epstein, another con artist who never finished his degree but managed to get a job in a school, a very elite private school in New York City for a few years and was very close to the students, a place that they still won't hardly let no black people in to teach or as students. I know because they used to not work too far from there. At another school that was just as racist. Anyway, so I was like, you could have said that. And then he tweeted, have a nice day, DJ. Let me tell you something. I don't care what they say. I don't care how much money people have or what position they possess. This is some poor white trash shit at heart. They up there fighting in the White House. Somebody said they up there knucking and bucking at the White House. And I'm so happy they're white, I don't know what to do. Okay? This is so ghetto and so messy and so trashy. Okay? They like the ghetto whites on Love After Lockup. Anyway, so these are two narcissistic personalities or narcissistic personality traits. I'm not a doctor. Having a pissing contest. Okay? Do I think Elon is on drugs? Absolutely. He looks like he takes drugs. He behaves like a drug user. He looks and acts like it. Don't ask me, ooh, how do you know? Because I know. Because I've seen enough of them. Is Trump a pervert and a weirdo who sexually abuses women? A Manhattan jury convicted him of that stuff 34 times. One woman's case. His own wife has divorce files saying he raped her multiple times in their marriage. No means fucking no. People can actually change their mind in the middle of the process. And her being your wife doesn't mean she was your property. I thought the way that woman died, and then he hurried up and buried her, like, on his golf course or some shit. I said, what the fuck is going on here? Anyway, so my problem with the way they deal with Trump, though, is unlike any president in recent memory. Okay? It's always the way people respond whenever somebody makes a statement publicly or to the media against the bills. Well, what are you going to do with Trump? What are you going to do to stop him? How are you going to stop him? What if Trump says no? What if he retaliates against you? What if he deletes your funds? This son of a bitch is calling the shots because Congress is letting him. My thing is, he's calling the shots like Congress doesn't exist. You have your House of Representatives and your Senate who have to approve these things. Your executive orders are something that you can implement temporarily, but it has to still go back to Congress for approval. They don't just get to exist unless you let it. And that was really for, like, in times of war that the president could, that's why he's the commander in chief. You could get right to it. Anyway, they are acting like the other two branches of government, the legislative and the judicial, are obsolete. They don't even matter. And they are doing this because our government representatives who have been voted in and can be voted out are letting him. They're weak. They're bitches. Everybody, I don't care what their party is, got a constituency that needs those things. People aren't asking questions about what the federal government may do in response. No, but Trump specifically. He is not a fucking king. He only has this power because we allow him to have it. They could stop Obama anytime he got, and he didn't even do for black people what, like, white people think we, all this shit we got. I'm still looking for it. I can't find it. I never got it. Anyway, proving that all you need to do, once again, especially in this country, to be successful, is to bully people without apology and be completely and totally brazen. You want to know why? We've seen people become successful all because of it. That's awarded in this country for some sick, twisted reason. And I think it's because people one day want to be that person who gets to do it to hurt other people. And most people do cower to bullies and people who are completely brazen in their behavior. So Trump said Elon was wearing thin and he asked him to leave. What does that even mean? He wasn't kissing your ass the way you wanted to do? Yes. Trump said, I know what wearing thin means, I'm just saying. He asked him to leave. He said he's taking away his EV mandate to buy cars that nobody ever wanted in the first place. First of all, you had them Teslas on the front lawn of the White House, speaking of poor white trash, on the front lawn of the White House, driving in them, showing them off, helping him promote his products, and then people started taking them back. This is a shit show. Elon was part, and I say was, okay, part of the machine to tear down the safety nets designed to help citizens. Once again, forms of welfare, WIC, Head Start. Y'all do realize all that's included in welfare. And think about how little money, like people always say, oh, the majority of money goes to education. We're talking about very slender forms. The majority of it goes to defense. I don't care what them graph charts tell you. When they start adding education up, the reason why they started doing all this public sort of loans and high interest rates is so that can push up the numbers so they can say, well, defense doesn't get as much. Get the fuck out of here. Miss me with the bullshit. So anyway, Elon said we'll be in a recession in a few months. I said no shit. That's not news to me. That may be news to other people. But the fact that they knew that and then saying this was going to be the prosperous bill tells you how insane, how selfish, how sinister they are. Because he could change just like that. I told you, truth be told, we're in a recession now. Just because they don't call it one doesn't mean it's not one. That's why the prices of this shit is sky high. Talking about a housing crisis. Y'all know that pisses me off. No. Quit acting like people can't find places to live. No, the prices are too high and you don't regulate the people that can be landlords. enough to say, well, this is the case. If somebody makes this much amount of money, this, that, and the other, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, so basically, y'all knew this was a fucked up bill, and now you want to say, here are all the negative effects, Elon, like a recession, but you were going around supporting the bill. Miss me. And speaking of people that can miss me, now I tried. Cory Booker, and I knew Cory Booker wasn't shit. And y'all can go back and look at my short when I said, or even my video, and when I said, go Cory Booker, go. I said, I can go in on him for a lot of things. I said, but I would rather him have the record for a filibuster than Strom Thurmond, who dedicated his entire life to segregation and the violent attacks on black people socially, politically, and physically. Yeah, I actually kind of would prefer that. All right? But your bitch ass turned around and supported this bill. And I'm still trying to think, New Jersey, let's think about all the places in New Jersey. Trenton, New Jersey is a very racist state. All the people that need stuff, this is what you choose to do? So it's Trenton, then you have places like, not just Newark, but then, starts with a P. Anyway, it's in northern New Jersey, but whatever. What do they have on you? So a person asked on TikTok, and I just enjoy TikTok. So I'm not trying to take credit from anybody's ideas or anything. But he was like, as a gay man, I'm just going to say, we all knew you were gay. Yes, we do. Nobody's buying that Rosario Dawson stuff. And y'all may be covering for each other foolishly. But my thing is, I literally said in my other video on him, there's a lot I could say. And speaking of a lot we can say, and people running into trouble. Welcome to New York. Let me tell you something. So they had the first New York City mayoral debate last Tuesday. And let me tell you something. That is primetime material if I have ever seen it. If there is a city that won't disappoint in terms of fuck shit and enjoyable fuck shit, it is New York. That mayoral debate, let me tell you something. When I tell you there was 8 loaded guns pointing toward one candidate, and that was 8 loaded guns toward Andrew Cuomo. Okay, our former governor. All right, I'm not going, the ranked choice vote, I'm going to be honest, I'm really not a fan of it, the way the votes go. And the first time they tried it was the last mayoral debate, and you see who we got, the last mayoral election. You see who we got, Eric Adams, right? Anyway, but in New York, one thing you have to understand, one, I think even if you don't live here, it's still something you should follow. Because the bottom line is New York is the center of so many things that attract, control, set the precedent for other things across the country. Okay? So we have that. And I do have a list of 5 people. I'll tell you who's on that list. Actually, I'll just tell you who I know I will definitely vote at the top. And that is Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani is clear. He's a democratic socialist. He wants to make the buses free and I take the train, but that doesn't matter. Make the buses free because they're accessible, particularly to older people. The kids who have to get back and forth to school. I appreciate that. By taxing the millionaires in the city, New York City has more millionaires than anybody else in one concentrated area in this country, and I think the world at this point. That's ridiculous for the amount of homelessness and poverty. Nobody needs, if you can have $1 billion, and I'm so sick of people, I don't know why it's our instinct to protect rich people who don't give back to anything. So it is their responsibility to give. So for example, our instinct or people's instincts to defend the Weinsteins of the world, to defend the Trumps of the world, well, Trump don't really have no money, Diddy's of the world and stuff like that. It's always like, oh yeah, they coming after money. These motherfuckers have made their living on exploiting other people to get that money. But your criticism is for the people who have less than them, who have been hurt and harmed by them. And then you want to tell them, oh, so all of a sudden that's a bad thing? Because you're worshiping these people who have stomped over everybody, cut cutthroat competition left and right just so they can have the most. Miss me. Okay? And he's Muslim. All right. Now, now let me say, I'll be very clear. I was not here for the Cuomo sexual harassment allegations. I watched his 8-hour deposition. I listened to them women's stories, and I remember it, as COVID was getting better in New York City, because we were actually on lockdown for a long time. Okay, Cuomo was not playing. I'm one of the people, I will tell you straight up, Cuomo saved this city and this state from COVID. And I know the nursing home crisis. I get that they didn't have enough hospitals, and people who lost their parents that were in those homes, they have every reason to be living. And Cuomo admitted that that was a mistake, but nobody really understood the virus, which I understand. But I also understand if you lost somebody, why that's not good enough for you. I get that. However, it was the cover-up of the details. Like, well, we don't want to tell people that's why, then they're going to get upset. Well, it happened anyway. People always find out. So that's the issue. And some of them women's stories, I was watching them interviews on NBC and CBS, and I remember thinking to myself, I kept waiting for these bombs to drop. There was a whole lot of bullshit. I'm sorry. Somebody saying at a wedding, oh, do you have a boyfriend? Like, I'm sorry, I don't think that's sexual harassment. Him telling the nurse that she makes an ugly doctor's outfit look good when she did his COVID test on TV. Cuomo is Italian to the core, and Cuomo is still kissing everybody. Okay? When did it become a crime? I don't know, because there's pictures of him doing that as far back as the 90s. That's what Italians do. I had a really close Italian friend in high school. That's the way her father was, her grandparents were. And I get that everybody may not like it, but I don't necessarily think somebody should be thrown away for it. I don't. Also, that being said, I'm not voting for Cuomo. And I honestly would have rocked with Cuomo till he started blaming the state of the city on defunding the police. First of all, they didn't defund the police. Now, just because they making police do overtime and all they do is play on their phone, let me tell you something. New York City police, I saw 4 cops jump on this one, and this is an important detail, Latino man who jumped over the turnstile. And they were undercover. First of all, you don't need no goddamn 4 cops to do that. That's number 1. 2, I do think the fact that he was Latino looking and jumped over the turnstile, that is not a violent crime. In New York, we already know that the MTA is scamming people with the Omni cards. Okay? I want you to know that I noticed, because that's part of my benefits, I noticed my money going extra, and that didn't make any sense to me. Stop fucking with me. All right? So, Andrew Cuomo also has accepted money from billionaires like Bill Ackman, the son of a bitch who was responsible for forcing that black woman into resignation at Harvard, who says DEI is something that Martin Luther King would have been against. Meanwhile, he's out here giving his fucking life and ended his life early, taking him away from his wife and children at 39 years old to ensure these things were in the system. He is somebody who does not believe that black people have taken over Harvard, and he doesn't want them. Jews are the victims. And if Jews are the victims and deserve certain protections around admissions and being at these large Ivy League institutions, specifically Harvard, he has worked to decrease alumni participation in funding Harvard because he has an axe to grind. He's a fucked up person. And the fact that you took his money, Cuomo, when your name was already over New York is what made a lot of people who probably would vote for you, say, I can't do it. Because I wasn't on the train immediately because, Zora Mamdani is 33. But at this point, we've seen that experience, i.e. Congress, people who have been there for God knows how many terms, 20, 25, and then spending 30, 40 years, does not mean that they actually know what they're doing. Or they do, and it's not helpful to the rest of the country. And yes, I'm willing to vote for a change. Zora Mamdani, okay? You can't take money from DoorDash, Cuomo, and then tell us about the biking and saying there's going to be a $20 an hour minimum wage. In New York, that don't mean nothing anyway. My thing is, DoorDash, though, is donating to your campaign while exploiting their workers. Are we to believe that you had the workers' best interest at heart? Anyway, but you can't take money from Bill Ackman. And Tilson, you can go. Mom Donnie, they asked the very trifling, very racist-rooted question. Okay? Now, mind you, they're all going back and forth. Everybody was going at Cuomo. Cuomo would not address the fact that he had sexual harassment allegations. They asked him why he used the term defund the police during his governor ship, and he did. He did. He said, look, police have to exist, but they have to work with the community. I stand with the protesters of Black Lives Matter. They just need to wear their mask. Right? So Mom Donnie is the only one. They asked this dumbass question, but you could tell it was a setup question, and it was set up to undermine Mom Donnie. They said, as New York mayor, what's the first foreign country you would visit? Mayor is a local position, right? Eric Adams taking that money from Turkey, right? Isn't that what got him in trouble? And then Trump wasn't a criminal too? He wouldn't have let up? Right, okay. So when they said, everybody just kept saying Israel, I'll go to Israel for the 5th or 6th. They get to Mom Donnie and he says, I'll be in New York because that's my job, to take care of New Yorkers. And they were like, okay, so you wouldn't visit a foreign country? He was like, not on behalf of New York. That's not my job. My job is to then follow up with, do you think Israel should exist as a state? This man didn't say shit about that. No, what y'all trying to do is y'all attacking him because he's Muslim. Y'all are attacking this man because the brainwashing is supposed to be that we stand with Israel. I don't know why even people in fucking New York City can open their fucking mouth like that. First of all, Jewish people are not, I'm not saying that there haven't been acts against the synagogues. And yes, those people should be punished. People should likewise be punished by shooting black people indiscriminately, be they police or the average private citizens. And that doesn't happen. So keep that same energy. What the fuck that got to do with the mayoral race? He said, I support equal rights in Israel. So you don't support the right of Israel. What that got to do with this mayoral election? And that pissed me off, because you know, if black people don't understand shit else, I understand what it is for people to play those games with you. And I caught it. They asked the only Muslim running and the brown guy who said, I'm going to stay in New York, basically I'm going to do my job. And y'all trying to act like, oh, somehow, I don't know who the voting populace is that y'all are thinking of, but y'all showed y'all's fucking ass. Y'all's dumbass moderating bullshit. Okay. So they asked him on local TV news, New York news TV, right? Maybe the next day or 2 days later, again about Israel. And don't tell me this is not, while they talking all this anti-Semitic shit, Muslims catch hell just for the fact. No, he stands with Palestine. Yeah, genocide is something I'm against too. You know what? You all right with me, Mom Donnie, and you're clear. They asked him 2 days later about Israel and asked him, well, I mean, he said, I support equal rights in Israel because there are Palestinians being discriminated against in Israel. And I already explained to y'all about the land. Okay? And he asked him, they asked him on the news, they said, well, if Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, came to New York City, they said, well, would you embrace him? What the fuck they got to do with anything? If Netanyahu comes, he going to D.C., you dumb. Whoo, that stuff was pissing me off. He said no. He said, I'd have him arrested. They were like, you would have him arrested? He said yes, because I respect the International Criminal Court that has found him guilty of genocide. I'm like, y'all are acting like this man is not prepared. I don't care. We need new blood. I'm willing. People keep saying, oh, he has no chance. He's not going to win. He has a chance if you vote for him. What the fuck? But these are like older white people. Anyway, because, that's kind of who I work with. Anyway, also, just so you know, Netanyahu, if he steps down or gets voted out, you do realize he'll be facing similar charges as Trump over there. That's why he's trying to stay in office and to keep this war going, because it helps support his position. Just like if Trump gets impeached and Congress does it, but they so fucking weak, we know that ain't gonna happen. If it does, thank you. All right, he'd be facing real consequences for his crimes, and he's being sued by people right as we speak. Not just government officials, people he has done downright dirty things to. The exonerated five. Anyway, but that mayoral debate was given. I suggest y'all go watch it, because it's on the internet and they live streaming too. But anyway, I will definitely catch up with y'all. If there's something y'all want me to talk about or watch, let me know. Let me know. I've gotten recently into the new show Hacks, because somebody I work with told me about it. It's hilarious to me, so I'm enjoying it. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.